Let me share my screen. Okay. And what time is it? Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the Optimizing Your Social Media to Increase Sales webinar. Hi, everyone. I'm Jaslyn. I'm a social media manager / coach, and I help minority-owned small businesses with their social media and content creation so they can find their ideal client and increase their sales. So in this webinar, we're going to be going over some tips and tricks to really help you utilize social media to your best ability to find your ideal client and increase sales. And my contact information will be in the corner of almost every slide. So if you want to send me an email about anything that we go over today, or if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Also, I will be sending out a recording of this webinar, so you can always go back and review if you missed something or you just want to rewatch the recording. Guess we got to click right here. Okay, so I always like agendas when I go to these type of webinars or have like online coaching because I like to know what's happening. So we're going to go over the webinar. Hold on, let me move myself real quick. So first is going to be an introduction. So you're just going to I'm just going to tell you guys who I am, what I do, which I already kind of covered in the beginning, but I just want to make sure you guys clearly know what I do and how this webinar is going to be beneficial for you. Next, we're going to go over how to use social media to make sales, because that's probably why you joined this webinar. So we want to make sure that you get that information today. Then we're going to talk about next steps. So if you would want to start working with me, or you just want to get a little bit more support after this webinar, we will also be going over that as well. Okay, so who am I? I am a college student. I am studying mass communications at the University of South Carolina, and I started my business, like I said, to help minority-owned small businesses with their social media and content creation to find the ideal client and make sales. I've worked in and around social media, honestly, since I was a teenager, but I really got serious with it about 2 years ago, and that would be like my freshman year of college. I worked on a YouTube channel that I've grown to over 2.5 thousand subscribers, and that really showed me my passion and my love for, one, video editing, and two, social media and just connecting with other people. And what really got me into social media management is I took a introduction to InDesign class last semester, and my teacher really talked about freelance and how he does freelance in InDesign for people in his town and community. And then I realized like I could actually do social media as like a career, and I could actually like earn money from it, because I was just doing it as fun. I was really just doing it as a hobby because I really enjoyed making videos and connecting with other people. So when I realized I could help other people with their social media, that's when I really dug forward and really hit the ground running with social media management. And I'm now transitioning into coaching because I've realized I really like strategy more when it comes to social media, like helping someone figure out their strategy. So I feel like social media is a more hands-on thing. So I really like to teach people how they can do it for themselves. So if they want to change something about their social media, they can. They don't have to rely on somebody else to do it for them. That's how I personally feel. Okay. So now, if you're watching the webinar live, I want you to pull out your phone, go on Instagram or TikTok. I don't know if you can tag people on TikTok stories, but take a picture of this slide and tag me and tell me that you're watching either the replay or if you're in the live webinar right now. That means so much to me because this is my first webinar ever. And I just want to make sure that, that I know you guys showed up, because I thought it would be really cool. Yeah, so let's go on to the next slide, or I'll give you a second to take a picture if you would like to. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty of this webinar, because I know that's why you guys came tonight, 6 o'clock on a Saturday. Yeah. So let's talk about why you need social media. I really feel like there's 3 main reasons why small businesses, or just businesses in general, should have social media. One is to build authority. Building authority basically means you want to be seen as the expert in your industry, and you want to be seen as the go-to person in your industry. So for me, I want to be seen as a go-to social media coach or manager in in the small business industry and things like that. Next, you want to build a community, because when you're trying to get sales for your product, you really want to have a community around your brand and your services or product to make sure you stand out from the crowd. I see a lot of business owners right now, all they do is promote their product. They don't really build a community around it. So you want to make sure that with that, you should be like responding to comments, responding to DMs, things like that. So you're really showing that your community and audience that you're engaged and you're not just there just to sell them products. Finally, lead generation. This lead generation is just critical when making sales in general, because you want to find these people that want to buy your products, that want to use your services. You want to make sure that your social media and your brand speaks that to them when they're looking on social media in the first place. So one of the most crucial things when you're starting with social media is make sure you're using the correct platform for what you're trying to do. So what do you want to gain with your social media from your business? Is that clients? Is that followers? Is that authority? What are you trying to do? Because sometimes these different social medias, they have different things you should be doing on them. So you want to make sure you're picking the right one. The ones that I'm on are obviously YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is more like a professional type thing, but my tip is you do not have to be on every single social media, especially when you're first starting out, because that can just be so overwhelming when you're already trying to grow your business as well as growing your social media. So I would say try to find the social media that your ideal client is using. So personally, I really only use Instagram and TikTok right now, but I really just started using TikTok because I was trying to get acclimated to Instagram. So it took me a good 7 months to get started on TikTok seriously, because I wanted to make sure I was well established and really understood the ins and outs on Instagram before I moved to another platform. So in my personal opinion, if you want to know like which platform I think you should start off with first, I would say Instagram, because there's so many different features that allow you to connect with your audience. So you have like Instagram stories, you have Instagram live, you have reels, you have in-feed posts, you have carousels, and you can also DM your followers or potential clients on Instagram, and it's a really easy user interface. So it's not very overwhelming like say TikTok or LinkedIn is when it comes to messaging people. So, and also you can do link in my bio, because when you think about TikTok, TikTok does have these features like Instagram, but you have to reach like 1,000 followers to get the link in my bio, and also to live stream. With Instagram, you don't need to have either of those, so you can just go live whenever you want to, which I think is a great benefit for Instagram, because live streaming and having a link in your bio is pretty critical when you're really trying to grow your brand, because you want to make sure you can, one, connect with your audience, and two, give your audience a place to go to find your services, when they want to book with you. And then YouTube, I would say YouTube is a good platform too, but maybe a little bit longer down your social media journey, just because it is long form content and it takes a while to, one, just get established on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie, it took me about 2 years to get to where I am now on YouTube, and that took consistency and time. So I would not recommend starting off with YouTube. Like I said, I personally recommend Instagram. Now, obviously you can do whatever you want to do, but that's just my personal recommendation. Okay, next. Optimizing your profile is really, really important when it comes to any social media, but like I said, I prefer Instagram, so I'm just going to go over that today. So first off, when you're making your Instagram profile, you want to make sure you have a clear profile picture. One of the mistakes I see one of the mistakes I see small businesses making with their social media is they're using a brand logo instead of a picture of themselves for their Instagram. Now, people buy from people. They don't want to buy from just a random brand they see on Instagram. I actually made this mistake when I first started, so I understand if you're doing that right now. I booked a coaching call with a social media manager coach, and the first thing she told me is you should change your profile picture, because she said people buy from people. So I have a clear profile picture. As you can see here, I have a clear profile picture. You can see who I am. And it just makes it a lot more personable when people are looking on your profile and they say, hey, this is a person's account, and not just a random brand just posting, random stuff. So next you want to go to the name. You want to make sure that your name is, clearly on there. So when people, maybe they DM you or something, they know who they're talking to. They know they're not just talking to like a random person on social media. And then you want to have your title. So I would not recommend putting your brand name here. I would just say, what is it you do? Because the name section, like where you put your name, is SEO optimized. So when people search on Instagram, they can type up social media manager, or like I have here an example, Jane online business coach. So someone might type in business coach and Jane's name would be SEO optimized. So her account may pop up. Versus if you just had like her business name, that's not really common knowledge and it's not a keyword. So they're not going to be searching for that. Next, you want to have your bio. I feel like the bio is the most important part because this is also, everything on Instagram is search engine optimized. So you want to think about that when you're posting one and when you're creating your bio as well. So the first thing I recommend to have in your bio is your I help statement, or what does your service provide? So mine is, I help small businesses with creating content to bring in their ideal client/customer. Now this has recently changed, so I tweaked it a little bit if you go on my Instagram now, but this is a pretty good start when it comes to creating your Instagram bio. Right here I have another example with the Jane profile I came up with. It says, I coach female small business owners to make sales online using social media. That is a good thing because you're naming your target audience, which would be female small business owners. And next is you're going to do, what do you do? So she makes sales online using social media. So that is what her services provide. And then the other thing, balance life with business. If you have like a certification or something, I would recommend that putting that there. So maybe you're a minority-owned business, a woman-owned business, a veteran-owned business. You could put those things right there just to show that you have those different credentials or even certifications if you want. So maybe someone is looking for a veteran-owned business. They will see that in your bio and be like, hey, maybe I would like to work with this person. Next thing, when you're creating your link, make sure that you're making a call to action. So where you see right here, where I say click for a meeting, that is making the person on my profile be like, hey, I should book a discovery call or a consultation call with me. So they'll click the link in my bio and it'll pop. That's like the first thing on my link tree too, is book a discovery call with me, and they just click it and they create a call with me. So I feel like that's really, really vital as well. Now, there's other things you can do with the link in your bio. It doesn't have to be a link tree. I know some people do a Calendly link. So if you want to just do discovery calls or consultation calls, just make that your link. And you would say like right here, click to book a meeting. Other thing, if you just want to have your website up there, that would be a good thing too. And maybe your newest freebie. So you could say click for, maybe you put out a checklist. So click for my social media checklist or something like that, and then it would be right there, and you could do that for email marketing as another example if you don't want to do the meeting thing. Next, now you're probably thinking, what do I post? You're telling me how to do my bio, you're telling me why I need social media. Now what am I supposed to post on it? That was another question I had when I first started out with social media, so I totally understand if you're thinking that. So when you're starting out on social media, you want to make sure you have content pillars. So the most content pillars are the 3 to 4 things that you're going to be constantly posting on your social media. With having content pillars, you're not feeling so overwhelmed when it comes to what you're supposed to be posting, things like that. So the 4 main things I recommend are authoritative content, educational content, inspirational content, and relatable content. So now we're going to take this piece by piece, and we're also going to give some examples on these different types of content. So authoritative, we already talked about a little bit, is why are you the go-to person in your industry? You want to be seen as the expert. Next is educational content. So informing your audience on your service and why they may need it. So if you don't tell your audience what their problem is, they're not going to come to you to solve it, if that makes sense. So you want to make sure that some of your content is educational, like, hey, my service does this, this, and this, and your problem may be this, this, and this. This is why you need to use my service. So Next, you want to do inspirational content. This is basically how did you get to where you are now? So these are mostly like inspirational videos. Like, I was at this when I began my business. Now I'm at this, and this is how I did it, basically. And then last one would be relatable content. So I like to think of this like memes and stuff you see on like TikTok, Instagram, things like that. That'll just keep your audience engaged, because not everything you want to see is educational. You want to have some funny stuff in there just because you want to be relatable to your audience and your industry that you're targeting your products to. Now, let's go over some examples. So first thing we have is the authoritative. So like I said, these could be certifications. Maybe you, like on your highlights, you just put, maybe you have a college degree. You could put that on there. If you do an online certificate, when it comes to, I know they have like social media certificates, or whatever your service is, maybe you have a certificate in that could show you like, hey, I actually know what I'm talking about. This is why you should use my services, because I have XYZ certificate. Next, you could do client testimonials, which I think are very, very vital when it comes to social proof and just showing that you are the authority in your business. This could be text, like photographs of client testimonials. That's what I personally do. I just take a picture of my client, ask them to say a few sentences about how their experience was working with me, and I put it in a graphic and post it. And I also put that in a highlight that's called like client testimonials or something like that. So when someone comes on my account, they can see, hey, people have worked with her before. They really enjoy working with her. Maybe I'll work with her too. Next thing is the transformation with your services. Now, this is really, really vital as well, because people want to see how your services will transform them in their life or their business with your services. So a lot of people like to do this with stories. So they tell a story about a client they helped, like client A was at this place, and then with my services we got her to this place, and now her business is booming, thriving, whatever the case may be. But that shows people like, hey, you know what you're doing. You were able to help this client achieve this goal, so maybe you could help me achieve that same goal as well. Last thing, which I think is really, really important, is free value. You want to make sure that you're not just pushing out like trying to sell stuff all the time, because that'll really throw people off. Like people do not like to get sold to all the time. They just want to follow someone because they enjoy their content, they enjoy the value that they're putting out. They don't want to be sold to all the time. Next thing is educational. So like I already kind of said in the beginning, educational, how can your services help your ideal client, which is kind of given. And then tips and tricks in your industry. So maybe you could like give some, show your services off, like how, give some tips about your services in the industry that you're in, things like that. And next thing would be freebies, which I think are really, really important, because when you're doing these freebies, you can also make these into email marketing campaigns. So you're grabbing people's emails, and emails are like one of the most vital things when it comes to your business, because you own these emails. You don't really own social media. Like, you own your email list, because you can send emails however much you want. People opt into your email, things like that. So freebies, some examples of freebies are like this webinar I'm hosting right now. I have an ebook that I had as a freebie, checklists, even workshops, tutorials, things like that you're just giving free content and free value to your audience, so they can see like, hey, she's giving me this free value. I wonder what else she knows that she can help me with. And you're giving people the why, and you want to get them to ask you for the how, because that's how you book the service. And then last one is relatable/inspirational content. So like we kind of said already, how or why you started your business. So this could just be a story of, this is how I started my business. This is why I started my business, because XYZ. You could do a transformational video. So like we mentioned before, how you got to where you are today. So maybe in the beginning of your business, when it was kind of a struggle, you were first starting out, and now you're at Z, like you have business, you're growing, you're getting better in your services and industry, stuff like that. And then last thing would be like inspirational quotes or videos. So this could be maybe just like a TikTok or Instagram sound that's maybe like an inspirational quote or inspirational video, those type of like motivational videos with like that sound in the background, and maybe just you showing off your business, showing off your success, showing off a client, things like that, to really get people just inspired to maybe work with you or just to be inspired in general, because people like that on social media. Okay, so now, how often do you post? I personally had this question when I was first starting off on social media, because there's so many different things about that, like post 3 times every day, post 10 times every day, only post 3 times a week. Like there's so many different ideas going on. Like, where am I supposed to get started? Just give me a number and I'll do it. That's basically how I thought when I was starting off on social media, to be quite honest with you. So I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give you a specific number, because I really don't think there's a specific number when you're starting out with social media, because everyone is different. You might not have enough time to be posting 10 TikToks, 10 Instagrams a day. I know I don't. I'm in school, I work, like I don't have time to be doing that. So my personal recommendation is to just make enough content where you are able to stay consistent. Make sure you can keep up with the schedule so you don't reach burnout, because if you reach burnout, you're not going to want to post anymore. And you're just not going to want to post anymore, and you don't want that to happen. Also, another tip that I don't really hear people talk about is to ask your audience what they want to see. It's so much easier to create content that your audience wants to see from you, instead of trying to pull some ideas out of thin air when you don't know what to post. So, personally, I do 2 TikToks a day, and one of them I repurpose on like Instagram Reels, and then I post maybe 1 to 2 times on Instagram feed, like in feed, maybe like a graphic or a carousel. That's just because I personally don't really enjoy making Instagram graphics for myself, because it just takes a long time. But another tip is batching is really, really good. I know when you're first starting out, batching can be really, really overwhelming, and just you don't know what you're doing. But once you get into a routine, it's really, really easy to create that content and just push it out throughout the week, so you're not so overwhelmed with it. So I created this little thing right here, is just how I personally rank content if you are just lost and you really don't know what I'm supposed to get started with when I'm working with social media. So first thing is long and short form video is getting really, really pushed out by things like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. They're really, really enjoying video content, as you guys probably know. TikTok is like one of the biggest social media platforms ever, and all it is long and short form video. So you want to make sure, if you can't do anything else in this list, make sure you're pushing out long or short form video. Second thing is stories. Stories really allow you to build that community with your audience. So I go on stories almost every day. Now you don't have to be talking like for 30 minutes to your audience, because honestly, nobody wants to do that. So I would just say provide some value, maybe some like mini trainings, some polls, things like that. Ask them questions, just to really get to know your audience and just build that community, because you want to have a community around your brand and around your business. And then last thing is in feed post. Like I already told you guys, I don't really enjoy making graphics and carousels, because they just take too much time. I really enjoy video and video editing, because that's what I started out with in social media. But that's personally my rank. Now, if you want to flip this list upside down, however you want to do it, that is perfectly fine. This is just my recommendation, and maybe just see how it goes from there. Oops. Okay, now this is my number one tip when it comes to social media and getting started, is to make sure that you're providing value and you're not just selling to your audience. I know we talked about this a little bit at the middle, I guess you could say, of the webinar, is make sure that you're providing value and you're not just selling to your audience, because like I said, nobody really enjoys getting sold to. Like nobody wants to get hey girly in their DMs every day. Like I know nobody likes that. So make sure you're providing value, like I said, with the different types of content that we mentioned, the educational, authoritative, relatable, inspirational, that type of content. Make sure that you're doing that. You're not just like, hey, this is a new product I'm putting out. Can you buy it? Like nobody likes that. So just make sure that you're providing value and that you're really helping your audience. You're not just trying to sell it to them. That is my personal number one tip. Okay, now let's get to next steps, or if you would like to work with me, these are some things that I offer. So first thing is a social media guide. This guide is only $5. It digs deep into a lot of the things we covered today. So this is kind of just surface level things, but this ebook really dives deep into it. So if you want some more tips and tricks when it comes to first getting out with social media, I do recommend this ebook. Now, all you have to do is pull out your phone, scan the pull out your phone, pull up the camera app, and then just hold it over the QR code, and you should be able to click it, and it'll take you to buying the ebook. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can just type in tinyurl.com/SM guide with 2 Ds. So that is number one. This is honestly for people who don't really have the means to invest right now, which is totally understandable. And you just want a little bit more help with this, a little bit more guiding after this webinar. I do really recommend this ebook. Like I said, it's only $5. Yeah, and you can always send me an email if you need more help with this. I am willing to hop on a call with you or whatever the case may be. But this is just like one way to continue the process when you're starting off with social media, like first starting off and you really don't know how to get started. Okay, next thing is you can book a one-on-one consultation with me. This is really for businesses that just need some one-on-one support with this. They just really need some guidance when it comes to social media for their business. You may not know what to post and you just don't have time to be thinking about what to post right now. Like you have a business to run, you have people to help, and you really just don't have time to worry about social media right now. Like you just really need some one-on-one support, and I am willing to help you with that. So in this one-on-one consultation, we will have a 1-hour coaching call to really dig into your social media strategy personally. So we can go over what type of content you're supposed to post, maybe even going over your bio, things like that, that can really help just get your what am I trying to say? Get your stepping stones in order, I guess you could say. Just like really step up your social media from where it is now to where you want it to be, to increase those sales and to reach your ideal client. Next thing we're going to do is create a content calendar for 1 month. I know content creation is probably the hardest part when it comes to social media, just figuring out what am I supposed to post, because once you have that, it's really just up to you to just make the content and post it. So I know that is really, really overwhelming. So we will create a 1 month content calendar with all the content that you can post for you, most likely Instagram and TikTok starting out, just so you don't feel so overwhelmed and you just have that. And then the next thing, we're going to create a relevant hashtags for your business and your industry. I know hashtags are a really taboo subject because people say you're supposed to have different amounts of hashtags, different types of hashtags. And that's just really confusing. And I don't want that to be a worry about in your social media when you, like I said, have a business to run, people to help. This is the last thing you want to be worrying about is hashtags. Like we can help you with that. And then last thing is content creation tips, because I just feel like it's good to have some solid tips when you're creating content. So when you're doing it on your own, you know what you're doing, you feel like you're good in what you're doing. So yeah, so this offer is $515. It is a pretty good offer because you're getting all these things. You're going to be getting one-on-one support from me. And also I will be doing either email or there's an app called Voxer, and we will message back and forth for about a week or so after we have all this, the coaching call and stuff. So you have 24/7 support from me when you're first starting out with your social media for your business, because I know it can be very, very overwhelming. Another thing, you will have a recording of your coaching call. So if you ever need to refer back to it, you will have it. Yeah. So, and if you want to do that, like I said, you can go ahead and scan this QR code. It'll pull it up, and then I will email you and we can book that 1-hour coaching call. And then if you can't do that, you can always go to tinyurl.com/dd consultation, and I will be so excited to help you out with your social media. So yeah. Okay, and thank you guys so much for joining my first webinar. I feel like it went really, really well. Last thing I have on here is if anyone has any questions. I will stop sharing my screen in a second and see if anybody has any questions. But also, if you want to join our Facebook group, I literally just created it 2 days ago, and I will be sharing exclusive content like this webinar. I think I will be posting in the Facebook group, and also just we're going to be doing weekly live streams about content creation, social media marketing, things like that. So if you would like to join our Facebook group, like, you can scan this QR code as well, or you can also type in tinyurl.com/dd Facebook group, and it will pull you right there. You'll just have to join it. I think there's about 3 questions you have to answer before you get in, and you'll be in the group. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and see if we have any questions in the chat. Okay, so I don't think we have any questions, but I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming to this webinar. You have my email, so if you have any questions, make sure to email me, and thank you guys so much for coming.